I do apologize. I was just on a whim, trying to reconnect the stream, and somehow
And
it must have worked.
we're back live, yeah?
Yeah, I think it was the magic genie pot that Felix has.
Yes, we are back. Awesome.
Oh, I'm so happy. Okay, I got such a fright because it is running through Restream at the moment, and suddenly it was giving me stream key issues and like error messages. So I was freaking out for the moment, but I'm really glad that we're back and that we have not lost you all, I hope. Or we can just blame South Africa. I think that's always a good way to go. Okay, alright. But I think we are back now.
Yeah, we are back.
All right,
So, and we didn't miss anything.
that's good.
the and so we had this case in the some previous games that did start to think when things were not looking so great for her. Do
Mhm.
you think that she completely missed Bishop A6 and now she is just not happy with what's happening and that's why she is spending time?
There's a very, very good chance of that.
What do you think, Felix? Did she see Bishop A6 or the same like me, she completely blundered it?
I think it might have been similar to what you said before, that she kind of makes the move, and like with f5, you stated before, she was thinking, yeah, knight h4 perhaps seems very active and nice, but then just started calculating afterwards, as you said before, and I feel like something similar happened with the move queen c7, that bishop a6 also never really worked before, but now all of a sudden it did, and maybe also she kind of forgot about it, that in this case it does work.
Rook E8 just got played. Rook F E8. I had a big feeling intuitively that the rook, if any rook goes to E8, it should be the A rook to keep
Yeah.
my king more safe.
Yeah, that's again a little bit of a surprise, I would say.
Huh. Okay, so now we are choosing from the white side. Do we actually want to exchange the bishop or no? Because it's a serious consideration just to play bishop b5, stopping any queen c6 ideas. And what it also does is, yeah, just locks the a pawn as a weapon for later on in the game. And then we just need those two more moves to get out with the pieces. And we're gonna be healthy 2 pawns up in dominant position, structurally and in every way, I guess. Simply.
Yeah, bishop e5 also looks nice.
And the idea on bishop b5 is that in all the lines, the big point is that nothing like knight f4, bishop c5 ideas, they don't work because bishop does defend the queen. So let's say, speaking about any lines like this, they don't work out because we can recapture back on e2.
Wow, bishops can move backwards. One of the most
Yeah,
common things to miss.
that's a problem very often that they do go backwards. And wait, is there any other tactical way to exploit the e-file? Knight h4, and on g3 you would have knight g2 here. Ooh, but even this, I'm not certain if it does anything good for black, since on knight g2 we can give a check.
And then move
king
the bishop.
h8 just...
Yeah, but she did go for arguably perhaps the safer choice, taking on b7. I don't know if it's safer, but at least it does eliminate some material. And queen c4 check. And I guess she also wants to put the bishop to d4 as it was intended. Which looks quite powerful. And as you said before, Toms, now that the rook from f8 is on e8, also queen f7 might be an idea later on, if the king moves to h8.
This seems like it could be over very quickly.
Mm.
It's
I saw
too
one
cold.
question from the chat before if the team is known, the seconds for this World Championship match, and I did see one post about it. Could you guys remind me who the seconds are, and the chat as well?
Ooh, was there
Yeah,
a post?
Yeah,
yeah.
there was.
Mhm.
Toms, do you remember?
Those are speculations, though. That I think it was Juve and Jun who is using the same team as before, and that it was Veyi was in the team, and
And Hare Krishna was back then.
yes, but it
But
was not confirmed. Of course,
I
those are all the
did
speculations.
see a post that for this time Juvenjun has help from Maxim Matlakov and as well as Nihua, I believe.
Wow.
And when it comes to Tan Zhongyi, I have a hard time remembering. But I think I'm quite sure it was Jeffrey Zhong who was in the team, as well as one Chinese player.
Oh yes, now when you say that, I do remember that as well. And but I did not know about these additions to Juve and Jun team.
Yeah, Hare Krishna and YE I don't think are seconds for this match, as far as I remember.
Okay, that's interesting. And how do you think? How much does it affect players and their opening choices? Who are their seconds? Do you think they are influencing them on the decision making, or they are just, regardless of who they are still just helping to do the work that needs to be done?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it mostly depends on what type of person the player is. For example, if you look at Ding Liren, who had help from Richard Rapport, he picked up many openings from Richard. For example, the French defense, which I think Ding almost never played before. But if you look at other players, they more or less stay true to their openings and simply take inspiration or help from the coaches. But in some cases, like with Ding, they often take up basically completely new ideas.
Yeah, I like
which
that you mentioned that.
Yeah, which also seems to be the case for Juvenjun in this case, who started playing a lot of e4, which she didn't do as much before the match.
But
Yeah,
do
it's
you know if
funny.
any of the players of them is e4 player?
Yeah, Matlakov
Ooh.
isn't, so
That's what I thought as well. Yeah, so that's what I was wondering.
Mm.
but
Okay.
he also knows a lot about both him and Nihua are like 2650, 2700 players, so I'm sure they also know a lot about e4.
Well, they know everything, of course.
Different ideas.
When we speak about people rated 2700, yeah, they just
Yeah.
know everything.
It's good to be
So,
a
yeah.
universal player to be able to play many things, because then it's even harder for your opponent to prepare against you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that you
Uh,
mentioned there that, sorry, I'm interrupting, that you said about the World Championship match. It reminds me of a story between Richard Rapport and Ding Liren, that one day they were going out on a walk, and Richard asked Ding, what do you want to play today? And as a joke, he said, haha, the French defense. And Richard looked at him and he was like, seriously? Okay, I'll prepare something. And he ended up playing the French. So that is a nice little story too.
I honestly have a hard time believing that that was actually how it went down. Like, if you come to a World Championship match and just spontaneously decide one day before the game what opening you're gonna play, but it is a nice story.
Indeed.
It's a
Well,
nice story.
I would like to believe that it is true. But yes, you're probably right. Well, given the results from the match, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
but Ding played very successfully the French defense. So yeah.
Yeah, also in the match against Gukesh, where he won this nice first game and in general didn't have many problems.
Yeah. So Tan is now thinking again after check. Okay, but it's also surprising for her to spend 5 minutes after a check. So that means I think that she just really doesn't like it. Maybe she was looking like rook e6 or just to find some alternative. Or could she have been considering king f8 just to not give queen f7 as an option?
Yeah, perhaps, but it looks so wrong to put the king on f8 as well.
But sometimes that's what you have to do when the
Yeah.
position is uncomfortable. You just do stuff that seems wrong just to make it strange, you know, and the hope that the opponent is not going to be able to adjust.
Feels breezy on f8.
I think we can expect bishop d4 rather quickly.
Yeah, after bishop d4, can I try knight h4? Then you have to go rook f2, I guess, or rook a2, but I don't know which makes more sense. I guess rook f2. And now my idea was to go rook e6. At least trying to generate some sort of active play with rook g6. Yeah.
Maybe g3, but g3 chasing the knight away would just be rook g6.
g3 always knight f3 is a bit
Knight f3.
Annoying. So she starts by going rook e6.
Oh, nice.
I'm trying to make some sense with knight a5 here, but I'm not succeeding. But because queen e4, I guess, is just good enough, and there's no point in going c6. Maybe there is, though. No, not so much. Okay, the rook is well guarded. I can't get anything in the e-file. Just was excited you cannot take the rook on a5 because the pawn is going to promote. But such trick is just not enough to really justify all the threats that can come right now from the black side with rook g6. Okay, let's keep it more serious. So rook e6, and now the idea might be knight h4, rook g6.
How would you stop this? What would be a practical way? Maybe playing immediately rook f3? Since they're starting with the rook, we could too. Idea being playing rook g3 after it all.
Yeah, that would stop it, certainly. And I assume that would just make black switch strategy to something like rook e8. And rook e2 ideas.
And the makes a sense.
But all this still should be good for white, right? It just should be always good for white. But we do need to find some smart moves here.
It's a very funny comment in chat.
And on this, we always have queen f7. So the rook cannot actually move. And since the rook cannot move, then what is the follow-up? When in doubt, like you don't know what to do, usually it's gonna be a safe strategy just to improve the piece that does the least job. Knight on b3 is kind of hanging and not doing too much, so I'm just looking to bring it over to the king side, where it's gonna be like a universal defender if I succeed in doing that.
Yeah, I like 92. Hard to spot an active plan for black, honestly.
Perhaps you could do the 92 move immediately? As I think it might stop knight h4 as well with knight f3 here.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
So if you just improving the worst piece in the position, and I think that's also generally the strategy that Ju and Jun is often employing, just improving the worst pieces, just making them better.
And
especially,
if
yeah.
I'm gonna go rook a to e8 now, are you still gonna play rook f3 or is there anything better now?
Maybe I can start by rook b1.
Yeah. I don't know where I'm going with the queen. Maybe a8? Just to
So
keep
good.
control of the diagonal.
Yeah, but that seems like a progress on its own.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a good question. Anyways, rook f3? Could be.
Because my idea was now to go bishop b8, and if you have the rook still on f1, then I thought it could be unpleasant because then after g3 I have knight takes f4.
Oh, okay, that's nice. So let's say we do an empty move
Like a5 for example.
Yeah, so bishop d8, and on g3 you could be able to capture here, and opening up the g file. Yeah.
That is nasty.
So that's
you
why
have
rook
to-
f3 is quite a nice move, because in the same variation it doesn't work because the diagonal is blocked for the queen.
Maybe you have to take the bishop first.
Yeah, even that would be just better for white, I think.
Yeah.
Then
Even
checkmate.
if you just do this and just this is too powerful. This
No
is
more
way too
problems.
powerful. And a pawn just running. But yeah, of course, that is not the strategy that we want to employ here. And so, on knight d8, rook e8. Yeah, rook f3 seems to be very easy way to solve the problems. Even though I would like not to play rook f3 if I don't have to, but maybe there's no reason for that.
Yeah, 92 does seem very, very
This would be
strong.
nice to achieve. Also, I guess rook f2 is equally likely move here.
Yeah, if rook e1.
Yeah, then we exchange and just put knight f1.
Knight f1, yeah. Because if rook f1 I thought I have this trick knight f4 again. Even
Yeah,
though
I just
might
wanted
not.
to make it safe, yeah.
Yeah.
And now this is coming.
She did play h3 though.
What are the first impressions on h3?
Prophylaxis.
Trying to understand it.
My first impression is that it might give counter game for black, like an actual game. Does she want to put king on h2? No, that would make little improvement.
Do you think it
Or
was
she
just
doesn't-
a waiting move?
I
Trying to
think
see
she
what
wants
the
to put
plan-
rook.
Mhm.
Sorry, yeah, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just my, I guess I understood the h3 move. That's all. That's why I got excited. And her point probably is just on that in these lines, she simply wants to have on a king h2. And yeah, just to eliminate some threats from the black side.
And if bishop e8 now?
And then probably queen f7 wins the game.
Ah yeah, I have no immediate threats. Yeah.
Yeah, she did play rook f2 immediately. So she's trying to be like super safe here. That's why she's playing in this kind of way, but I think it could she could achieve the same by bringing over the knight, because knight from f1 could defend everything also in the position, or from f3 if it gets there.
Do you think there also could be like a psychological shift if you feel as though your opponent is slightly better in a certain concept like tactics or perhaps a calculation and that sort of thing, that you would avoid it at all costs regardless? Would you say Tan is slightly better in tactics than Ju and Jun? Or both players are just decently strong and equal?
I think she's more confident in tactics. I don't think she's better in them.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
That's true. You can be good in them and not play it.
Yeah. I think that's the
Uh,
case for Juve and Jun. Sometimes at least.
Hmm.
I expect bishop b8 to be played first now, before any rookie one.
Mhm.
Just because it is somewhat uncomfortable to deal with this f4 pawn. And I'm wondering, is she just gonna play rook f1 and just bring everything to the defense in this manner? Maybe bishop b8, rook f1, and she's claiming simply that black is stuck since this rook doesn't move, and since this rook doesn't move, then the other rook is useless. And then we have 2 extra pawns on the queen side, so and we'll be improving the knight and the pawns just the next few moves.
What are some tries here for black, other than bishop to b8?
Maybe to get the king out of the danger would be... It would be great if you could do that. Is there any way that the king is feeling safe? Maybe h6, king h7? And then after queen f7 we at least always are gonna have rook e7 ideas. It won't be checkmate at least. Because I don't see also a very clear plan from the white side once we have set up pieces in this manner.
You could think about going c6 at some point. I mean, because it does force an endgame.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I think you have to take with the queen. Otherwise, if rook c6, queen f7.
Mhm. And now you wanna just exchange.
Yeah.
Is there another way to force an exchange without giving up the pawn?
Didn't see one.
But I
I mean-
could also find some compensation here, theoretically.
Yeah, this will not be like an easy task to convert.
Hmm.
Yeah, it would be great to exchange queens somehow without giving up this pawn, like queen b5, for example, but then black probably can move the queen somewhere.
d5.
c4? Sorry. Pulling at straws here. c4.
Yes, c4 I would be afraid to play, since it cuts off the white's queen.
Yeah.
But now d7 is falling, isn't it?
Mhm. Right.
What would this be like?
Perhaps I can sacrifice it, queen e4, and then rook e7.
Or the other rook?
Yeah, maybe the other one, yeah. And then I can take on f4, maybe. Ah, you have queen d5 still, yeah.
Yeah, but anyways we can take
Yeah,
it.
maybe I can still take, yeah.
This is
Ouch. Okay.
probably the best position that black had in a long time.
Yeah, 92 is coming. All of a sudden it could go wrong, yeah.
Understood.
pawns are
Yeah.
banging.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like an extra pawn or two here because of it being piled on the c file. So perhaps giving it up, you're right. But it is a better prospects for white.
We do have bishop b8 on the board, and
Great
I think if
success.
she set it up like this, then she must be planning rook f1. Because what else?
Defends everything for now. And it was played. They are on move 26 at the moment, giving them 14 more moves until time control, as well as the fact that Tan Zhongyi has 38 minutes versus Ju Wenjun's 26 minutes, which isn't as large of a gap as we're used to in the middle game. I can't remember what was suggested by you here in this position for black.
think
It's
h6,
just a-
h6,
yeah.
h6. Okay.
Just to give some relief to the king's safety at least,
Mhm.
because it's hard to imagine the way to improve the position. This rook is tied down, this queen f7 is just too big of a threat whenever the rook moves.
So immediately after queen f7, it'll be king h7 maybe, after the h6, allowing the king to protect the knight.
Yeah, then at least after queen f7 we have rook e7, we are not getting checkmated.
Mhm. Oh yes.
But you could even argue that maybe sometimes even after h6 queen f7 is not anymore deadly. Like sometimes it is, but sometimes it isn't, because now the problem is that here we don't manage even rook e7 as it's just a checkmate with the bishop. If we had a
Oh.
pawn on h6, then at least we would have king h7 as a possibility in some cases.
Wow. I forgot bishops can also deliver checkmate. Oh. I'm learning a lot today as well.
Returning to the topic of the time, 26 moves played, 26 minutes on the clock left. Should it be enough to reach time control comfortably here, or is there a chance that it's not enough for some lines here still? Just also taking into account not only the time, but in this current position.
I think it should be okay. Like now her position is sort of safe, I guess. Still, it's not so easy to find the right plan. But I don't see any imminent threats for black, so at least that will kind of calm her nerves, I guess. Especially if she'll run low on time.
I definitely agree with you there, Felix. That things are a bit more comfortable for white and maybe just free-flowing. It's not like they are a multitude of complexities that she's having to sift through in order to figure things out. Unless Tan can offer to complicate things. Though I'm unsure how that could be possible. Yeah.
But also I just realized that, let's say if he plays slowly and white achieves something like 93, then all the hopes for any counter game could be just over for black.
Yeah, white generally probably has to regroup the knight somewhere. D3 would be a very nice square.
We can still hope further to get to d5 if necessary. Maybe not necessary, maybe just d5 will be enough. Or many options now appearing if we get the knight to d3. So hope for black is to actually find some idea.
I
Knight
like the
h4 now.
suggestion, yeah, to try and overload the rook was a really nice suggestion in chat. Does it work?
Can I go g3 here?
Felix poking the bear?
Well, actually my plan was anyway to go g3 at some point and then king h2. Oof.
Oh my goodness.
So the idea was that we have a mate on g2, and if we take with the pawn, we have rook g6, but...
Oh, maybe you take on g7 and then take with the queen.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Oh, okay, that's... yeah, because if not for that, I think it works, bishop f4.
Yeah, I was only
As
able
you cannot
to
take the
see
knight
that
also.
with the
G6
indication
here.
that white is still better. I'm like, how is white better here? I don't understand. Yeah, bishop takes, g7, king takes, and queen takes f4. And after knight g6, for instance, maybe just queen takes f5.
Yeah, then we can pick up everything. Maybe still some moves like rook
Mm.
e4 can
Then a
be
little check, a cheeky check.
kept on the board, and yeah, but we don't manage any king h8, anything. We have queen f6, so no way to make it work.
another nice idea perhaps after bishop f4 was to go c6 again. I don't know if that works, but it was another idea I thought about.
Ooh, blow
Just to block
after
the
blow.
diagonal again. And if rook c6 again, I have queen f7.
Oh, and now we have a double attack, so no rook g6 available.
Yeah.
Okay, some nice ways to counter my bishop f4. But then knight h4 probably doesn't do much. rook g6, just king h2, I assume.
Yeah.
And now bishop f4.
Ah, now it might work, yeah.
Oh, because rook takes at the end, okay. Oh no, my bishop! Sorry.
Yeah, now it gets a little bit out of control. So maybe instead of king h2, I can protect the pawn on g3 some other way, but I don't see.
Oh no, the knight is hanging on b3.
Yeah, and I cannot. Ah, maybe does c6 work again?
Oh yeah, that could be the key to this position. And on rook c6, I think we can just go queen d5. Just stopping any...
Yeah, or does queen f7 work as well?
Oh right,
Yeah.
I forgot about that one suddenly.
But queen d5 also looks very powerful.
So yeah, c6.
It's not so easy to spot. Rook g3 doesn't do anything because of king h2. And it seems like white will win the rook.
So now we have two pieces hanging. And that's it. Yeah, so that's nice. And now we can't just exchange queens or anything. We have to take with a pawn, probably, but...
Now I can go king h2 now.
Not king h2. And knight's gonna get to c5. And that's gonna be very nice. Oh,
Bishop
and I
takes
guess
f4.
it's just lost.
Never mind.
The knight is trapped on h4.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So if we go back to the starting position, so my thought process was in general that I might want to play g3, king h2, and then knight d2, knight f3, something like that. That was kind of my idea. So maybe h5 could be one idea. It looks quite weakening, but at least I'm trying to avoid g3.
Yeah, but now if I get with a knight to g5, it's effectively game over.
Yeah, so I'm just praying that you won't get there.
Okay, and then you want to put h4.
Yeah.
And make sure that g3 never comes. It could work out. It definitely could work out to make things more complicated for white. So knight d2, h4.
And now try to
let's
trade
try.
queens.
Oh, okay. With what?
No, I was just asking about trading queens in a position like this, but then again, how do you do so? So.
Yeah, I think we would like to, although with the pawn on h4 already, like if you just remove queens, it would be still very hard for white, I think, to win.
Okay.
Because this is a big weakness that is hard to defend. But it could work out tactically after knight f3, just everything.
Yeah. Also queen d3 is maybe an option because f5 all of a sudden becomes quite weak.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. And queen d5 is just met by c4.
Or bishop g7.
Or okay, that's good enough.
So yeah, probably you would have to play rook f8, which looks quite wrong, yeah.
And now rook b1.
Yeah, rook b1 is an idea. Even though then f4 will be hanging, so black could go, I don't know,
Queen 8
to c6 or a8, yeah.
Right.
On c6, I would be worried about some exchange sacrifices on b8.
Yeah, also rook b6 might come.
I take it back.
I wanted.
But yeah, instead of rook b1, there are, I guess, a couple of ways to try and improve.
Maybe getting the knight in
Yeah,
Like-
knight c4 seems nice, but
Oh, we can go for it.
yeah.
Although maybe now queen a6. If we can remove the a4 pawn, then at least there's a feeling that we could survive it.
That's true.
I like h5, h4 as an idea here.
At
It's,
least, practically speaking, it might make White's task a little bit more difficult.
Wow.
yeah, definitely.
I like how I'm creating problems to the solutions and you're creating solutions to the problems. Because trying to bring the knight in just seems so natural, but then the pin becomes so annoying as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if what happens here after knight f3. Like, is it not working out somehow tactically?
I think it
Yeah.
does. Could you? No.
And now just removing the knight and attacking everything. So how
So
do
taking
I
on
just remove
h4?
the knight?
No, that doesn't
Take on
work.
h4 would be
Is,
problem that g2 isn't great.
You are
It could
right.
still
Just
work.
a small problem on that square over there.
But even this could be winning after c6, no?
Yeah, there are all the time these c6 ideas.
As any endgame now, we exchange the queens, we take on f4, this is under attack, you have to retreat, I take on f5, and that's it. Two
Yeah.
pawns.
I
Up in
love
an
the
endgame.
c6. Wow. It's so resourceful. Because I kept thinking about ways in which to deal with c6, because rook takes c6 attacks the queen. But then every time there's the option of queen f7 that you mentioned, yes. I love it. Felix's new chessable course. c6. Something happened?
So a lot of plans. No, nothing happened. We are still in. No. Knight f4 happened.
Wow.
Is that legal?
Ethically, no. On the board, maybe.
I think black is in no way ready for any tactics to work for them. Yeah, this is. It does feel like desperation a little bit.
So
Actually,
what
the
happens?
same idea, but
What happens if I take everything?
Let's see.
so there are no intermediate moves. So the idea must be to take, and then.
And check.
Probably check. Yeah.
With the idea to put both rooks here.
Maybe
Ooh, even
she's
coming
thinking
back.
attacking edge state, something like queen b8, and then those two are under attack.
Could I come back
Could
one
be.
move? I know that rook takes f4 was played. Just one move here, and after king h2, evaluation bar said no, and I'm trying to understand why.
And it has to be rook e2, I guess. Maybe rook a to e2. No, it also
No,
doesn't
that's-
seem. I mean, white also always has c6, yeah, or many things. Huh.
And queen b8 was the wrong move. It doesn't achieve anything. Oh, it's like so bad. Okay, now I saw the bar for the first time.
Yeah, what's the issue with queen b8 or queen c7?
I'm also trying to understand. Well, I don't know if we looked at queen a8. Maybe that is the answer, as opposed to queen a7. Let's see. Nope, no.
What could be
Maybe
the move
there's
here? I have no
perpetual.
idea.
No, there's not. Maybe the other rook
just-
to e2. Also not.
Oh, that's a mystery.
Yeah, I'm going to cheat and check. No, you.
Yeah, I'm also there. So queen c7 seems like the winning move.
Okay.
Because queen b8 does not work due to g3.
Oh.
And
Wait,
there
I don't
appears
understand.
to be there appears to be some difference why the queen is better placed on c7.
Okay. Such a small difference, but huge in evaluation. Okay. Sorry, I wanted to understand it a little bit better. I don't know if I do, but
Ah, okay. I think I get it now.
okay.
So if queen c7, then after g3 there is rook a to e2 check,
Hmm.
and if bishop f2 there is queen c6, and white cannot stop the checkmate. Now if we have the same line with queen on b8, then black has to play queen b7, but white has c6, which
This-
defends and even wins the game.
This darn C6.
Oh.
Love it. Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
That's-
Well spotted.
That's a very nice idea. And so the correct move is now what? Is it rook f1? Probably.
Yeah.
And it's played instantly. And wow, we are very, very close to historical moment in this match, I must say, as Juventud is about to be up on the clock.
Wow. This has to go down in history. A plaque needs to be made so she can frame it and put it on her wall. Captures simplification.
So now king takes on f1 because the knight is hanging on b3.
And then probably queen e4? Or what are the final tries here?
Yeah, queen e4 should be the way to generate counterplay.
Mhm.
Threatening mate on e1.
And then for white,
shimmy,
the
shimmy.
only task is to get the knight in the game. If the knight gets into the game like on f3 square, the game should be effectively over.
Mm.
With so powerful bishop on d4. King f1 probably is just played, but we just don't have the move delivered yet. Yeah, those are played. And
I guess she
basically-
has to play king g1 now.
seems to be the...
But there's
Over
still
time.
some questions to be answered, perhaps, after king g1, queen b1 check. Queen b1 check, I thought.
Okay.
With the point that after king h2, rook e1, I might be able to have some tricks.
Ooh. Maybe bishop f2 to try and cover the dark squares. Or perhaps even,
Mhm.
well, I'm not sure, here after, yeah, bishop, bishop f2?
Yeah, I like the idea. Just to...
Very
Good
practical.
defender. And if rook h1, just king g3, yeah.
And that way you're also
Mhm.
covering.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, there's another try. I don't like it. Well,
Yeah, but
after f4, king, f3, queen, d1, queen e2 threatening mate. If the queen moves away.
I think we can just... Oh, we cannot take. Ooh,
but there's
I
no
want to
mate.
stay with the
Ah,
but the queen covers the back
Yeah.
rank mate.
Yeah. Oh, dang it.
Oh wow, that is funny.
What do you do here? Oh, maybe king h4. That looks risky
Can I-
though.
can I also take with the king, or does that not work? I mean, it looks risky, but...
Somehow it does. I think that's the main move.
Yeah,
I
but
don't. I just couldn't see why it loses, so I just.
because
threw
it
it
makes
out.
sense, because now if you go back,
Yeah.
black cannot improve any attack.
Mm.
Oh no, wait, no, there's queen g6. But I want to say that the rook is hanging on f1 always as well, so it's very hard to improve the pieces.
Could I quickly go back one move to just see if king takes doesn't happen, what else is possible? Okay, it's not the only move, but I really like king takes f4. I completely missed it, plus you're just picking up the pawn. But apparently king f3 does work, but I don't understand why, because now king d...
Yeah, and probably then you
One?
also have to take, I guess.
Oh, and then take. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Got you. Right, sorry, here and here. And then maybe just here? No, but again, but then the rook's hanging.
Yeah.
So
But
what
here,
about
I thought we
with
had...
king f3, and then after queen d1, king g3. Because if you get king g3, then we have queen g6.
But if king f3, there's queen f5, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that is
That's why I was like...
I thought king g3 is probably the answer here. And now if you go queen g6 check, then I have queen g4. And no more checks. Ah, there is queen d3 though.
and
but-
queen c2,
Ah, also queen c2.
hitting those two pieces. It is sharp. It's very sharp. Although after queen c2, probably bishop d4 wins the game.
Ah, yeah. That's a nice point.
Oi, this is a lot to take in. But what about queen c2? No, queen c2 we had rook hanging here, but no way to improve, really. Maybe h5. If we are desperate for attack, then we just have to drop
Yeah.
everything.
Queen. Okay. Ooh. No.
The bar is a bit distracting, Mo. It immediately points out how ridiculous my move is. But it's not so clear immediately what is the reason. But I guess here, everywhere, something works out tactically for white. Whatever you do, something works out tactically for white.
Yeah, but especially with time ticking down Ju and Jun's clock, it might be a bit tricky to convert.
Let's see if there is some safer way how to approach it.
There
And-
was, in fact, a safer way. Instead of taking on f4, it appeared that c6 was a little bit stronger than to enter this line.
So this is here, bishop f2, here. No.
No, already much before when Tan Zhongyi took on f4. Then after rook
okay.
takes f4, bishop takes f4. It seemed like c6 was again a very nice intermediate move. But okay, good luck finding that.
Yeah, because you have to be ready to play this and be absolutely certain that it's all coming together. As the queen
Yeah.
is pinned and the bishop is defended. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, the point is, I guess, rook f4, and if queen f4, there's bishop g7.
Ah, okay. Again, I wanna blunder the same idea over and over. Not learning. Wait, this is on the board.
Go,
And we did have
Felix!
for a moment, Juvenjun was up on time for about 30 seconds. But we are back in the territory, the usual one.
Yeah, Tom's Felix is stealing your job as an accurate predictor here.
No, I cannot compete with Tom's.
Are we gonna see rook e1? I guess rook e1. Is there any point to... No, there's no f4 because queen f7 comes, so we have to go immediately for threats. I guess the sacrifice was just last hope, desperate attempt, and rook e1 is just following through with it. Like, if you don't make it work now, then really just knight d2, knight f3, and the game should be over.
Yeah.
The knight saves the day. Knight in shining armor.
Knights are like the perfect defenders in these kind of situations around the king. They just cover so many valuable squares, and the king is feeling sometimes even more safe with the knight around than with the rook around, because just knight is going in. It's complementing the king very nicely.
The horsey. I named my horse Mayo, and sometimes Mayo neighs.
So, is that a indicator that we should be a bit more entertaining as you had resort to
I
the jokes?
apologize. I'm so sorry.
It's okay, but I don't mind. You can go on and stay straight as well. It's okay.
Yeah, that was for chat entertainment, of course. Oh dear. I apologize. So now it's just a matter of waiting. Any other candidate moves though? Because we saw reasons why f4 doesn't work due to queen f7. Are there any other tries?
Can't imagine.
Yeah, queen f7 is a deadly threat.
Maybe this is another try, in theory. And
But-
queen f7 just rook g8, and that you're completely tied down. But a5, and what's the next move for black?
Yeah.
Although f4. I don't believe it in any way, but looking for alternative ideas, simply.
I guess I could go king g1, but just doesn't seem the way I want to do things.
Yeah, I would feel fine then starting to check. Check.
And I'm planning to run out somehow with king.
Oh, but can I just go a6? Isn't that
F3.
like f3, and I just sacrifice this and basically promote? Or not? Oh, there's queen.
Queen, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, queen coming to c6. And I thought that the pawn promoting and the checkmate ideas in the same time should win the game for me.
Ah, yeah. Maybe you can go queen b7 and then bishop e5, bishop b8.
Yeah, I spotted it exactly in this moment.
Yeah.
And this is not a nice rook on a8.
Jailed.
And we have a winning pawn endgame now.
Yeah.
So maybe it is something to consider if you have to resort to ideas like this. But okay, king g1 as well. Like, say that it's fine and you escape.
Ooh, here's the king f2 that chat was suggesting earlier.
And now we go to e1 or forward.
I thought even forward, but because I don't see the rook from g8 entering the attack anytime soon. Aha. Okay, yeah. I'll continue the adventure.
Oh wow, that is.
But
I've never seen
Yeah,
this level of
queen-
confidence in the king.
yeah, now king d5 perhaps.
Queen
Like,
g2,
At least I picked something.
king c4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, king gets away and the pawn seems to be guided. Maybe.
I don't think this is where you want to go with white.
Yeah,
Oh.
probably. Yeah.
Adventure time.
No, pushing the a pawn was the clinical win, as suggested
Mm.
by Toms. That was very nice.
So if she's thinking, I mean, she must be calculating something along those lines.
Mhm.
Just otherwise, she would blitz out rook e1 and make Zhu and Jun calculate here. That's it. Oh. Yeah, we have a topic in the chat about playing in the hometown, and there should be an extra points for winning when you're playing away. But how does it, like we discussed this with Jesse in some previous days, a little bit on this topic on playing the home and so on. That in the previous match, for example, Zhu and Jun lost at home and won when she was playing away, because the match was played in the same format. And how is it for you, Felix? Do you like to play in your home city, at your home, when you can stay at home and play chess, or do you prefer to be away somewhere in the hotel, just wherever it is located?
I would say in most cases I love to play in my hometown Vienna, simply because I love the city and I love staying at home. But I mean, in many cases it's also just incredibly interesting to go to some more remote places. Like I remember I played in some under 14 World Championship match somewhere in Siberia in Kantāns. Like you would never go to a place like that if it weren't for chess. But of course the comfort is more from your own home, I would say.
Because that's actually a lot of players are saying, and I also share this opinion that, yeah, like I don't share it so strongly, but a lot of players are saying that they just absolutely hate to play at home because
Interesting.
there are so many distractions all around. Like whatever is your life situation, that there is always going to be some distraction from the daily life when you're playing at home, as opposed to when you're somewhere away.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
I share that as well. And sometimes it doesn't even matter where it is played, but who you're surrounded with during that competition or tournament as well. I found that the conditions have played a huge part in my feelings towards the tournament and often my performance as well. I can make an example. So last year we were playing the African Championship in Ghana, and somewhere in the middle of the tournament the entire country suffered from like a cut of cellular connection, so you couldn't contact anyone outside of Ghana or within Ghana. Your phone was just completely useless, no Wi-Fi, no nothing. So it was quite hard in that sense, as well as the dishes being exactly the same every single day, and a bunch of other comments about the organization of the tournament. Not to flame them too much, but I can definitely say the conditions are more, I suppose, controllable when you're at home. Oh.
Yeah, that of course is a good point, and it's about, I guess, being in a tournament where you know that the conditions are gonna be fine. Yeah, and we have a safe approach from the June, Queen d5. This is what I was wondering exactly. Like, if there isn't something that doesn't require the lines to be so crazy sharp, and for white to be able just to control things after rook e1.
But I'm just wondering, is it really safe? Like I struggle to see the way for white to win. Like rook h1 check, king g3, queen e1, and all of a sudden.
Is it the same here with bishop f2, but then...
Yeah, you have to go bishop f2, but then I'll pick up c3 and... Queen f3, queen e5 seems like a perpetual to me.
Right.
So
yeah, this is not very safe looking.
King f4
Ooh, rook f1
is apparently
maybe.
the winning move, yeah. But...
That's difficult to see. Oh, with mating threats. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and that queen is not able to defend the checkmating threats.
And if we play something like h6, then I assume we can bring the knight in the game in some way and be fine.
The ambition is uncanny.
But the all the time we're returning to the same thing. The knight is on b3. If only, yeah, earlier on in the game we would somewhere regroup it. It would be so much more simple.
Yeah.
I don't know what is the move here. It's nice to see by the bar that it's winning for white, but
it's not fully obvious. Not obvious at all.
Unhinged chat again. Thanks, Anna, for keeping things under control.
Yeah, so of course the chat is Always finding a very nice way to turn my words against me.
Yeah, Screws is very gifted in trying to take things out of context, so we can thank him for his talents.
Yeah, very many memorable moments.
Creative. Bishop d4 maybe at the end. Uh-huh. But that
But there
allows...
still comes all the rook checks and everything, so yeah, it's might be working out, but here, are we forced to play bishop f2? So there is no...
I thought so. Otherwise, rook f1 will come.
Oh dear. At
Rook
least
f1.
h6 is on the board. I'm very happy.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. Queen g3 checkmate coming in. But wow, she played h6 now.
Players are winning the unpredictability prizes here.
Well, now I can bring the knight to d2, right? Can I?
Yeah, I did like your line with the checks first, much better. And then h6 with the king in the center. Like, then at least we have this fact that the king is in the center.
Because now, if we follow the same line, after rook h1, king g3, queen e1, bishop f2, there is no queen c3.
Ooh.
And
Or?
yeah, I was seeing the line now king f3, and now I thought rook h3 is a nice try.
And I have queen d1, you just take on... Oh my gosh.
Yeah, queen h1 is there,
That's beautiful.
You
Nicely
know
spotted
what's
there.
even more disturbing? That it's still giving like a huge advantage to white.
Ah, this is still winning, huh?
King g4 just, and that's it. No? Yeah, we just don't care.
I don't
And
think
if
I know how
queen
to play anymore.
Queen f2, just g takes h3, or?
And the king runs around and...
Uh-huh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a nice trick. Rook h3.
Smooth criminal. Wow.
Yeah, it's really... Maybe she's setting up that. That's why she played like this. She sees it. And it's hard to imagine just that after king g4 everything is fine.
All your moves. Co-commentators, let's go.
It might
I
be
think
that
we're-
we're gonna see that.
Yeah, that's gonna be a spectacular position, just visually, with the king on g4 there, and that being just winning.
It's important for
But
the
I
king
think
to
white
get
has
steps
no...
in.
There's no alternative, right? Like, this is like forced almost. If black goes for this, then it's for sure going in that direction. And then, once you reach this point, even if you blunder rook h3, then just you find king g4 by method of like elimination.
Yeah.
And they do have time to figure things out, because Jun has 12 minutes with 6 moves to make. So that's at least 2 minutes a move, of course with some increment. You think she'll be fine?
I think
Yeah, I think
so.
she'll be. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's actually funny, can be sometimes, like, let's say sometimes blundering can benefit you more. Like, just imagining two scenarios. In one scenario, like, we see this line and we completely don't see rook h3, and then actually we arrive there, and then you start thinking, and just by method of elimination, you find the best moves and you're winning. And another scenario, you see there's a motive of rook h3, and from distance, you think that, like, when you're counting this position, like 5 moves ahead, you think, oh my god, this is too crazy, no way that this works, and you just eliminate this line from the white side. So blundering is not always bad.
Blundering is not always bad. I like the takeaway from that. Yeah, I always say it's a sacrifice until proven blunder. It's not truly a blunder if they don't accept it, or they can't prove their advantage after accepting it. My mantra, glass half full.
But this is we don't have any options now from the black side. After h6 and allowing knight d2, it's like, it's now or never. Since just almost fully coordinated. That's on the board.
Uh-huh.
Queen e1 should come. Queen b8 doesn't make any sense. f4 now immediately also doesn't make much sense, I think. Yeah, queen e1 is on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Only a blunder if they notice it. I agree. Ooh. Yeah, I'm very happy that on the overlays we have it updated now, the titles and the flags of players, which we didn't have previously. Bishop f2 is on the board as well, exactly as predicted.
I was wondering if she would at this moment notice rook h3 and consider something like king f3 as a move.
Oh,
I
with
guess it
this
doesn't work
being...
out. I wanted to finally use this idea myself, but I guess it's just bad. The knight is covering f1, but... Oh, but we still have rook h3. Nothing changes.
Ooh,
Ah, that's nice. Yeah.
So, if not for rook h3, then it would be good. Yeah, but this rook h3... Oh, okay. That's so powerful idea.
ooh.
Imagine if black had played h5 in this position. Foreseeing all of this. Would knight d2 now not work?
Apparently not. f4?
Yeah, now rook h3 just works.
Ah,
That's nice.
that's nice.
So...
So then, if h5?
So instead of h6, h5.
We need a different way forward.
Well, I guess I could go bishop f2 now. That was also one move which I believe we talked about before. And... But also there h5 is probably... Is it useful? Can also be hanging sometimes.
Yeah, like after f4, then it's hanging with a check.
It was even crazy that the engine was suggesting king to g3 as the move before bishop f2, but bishop f2 is just all the same.
Ah, so if h5, then king g3 wins. Okay.
Yeah, somehow. But bishop f2 is just like the safe way to approach it. It really likes the king march.
But it would be so easy to automatically play knight d2, regardless if you see h6, h5, like to notice this side difference from distance. It takes a big creativity to imagine it, I think, like when you look at the position from far away.
And it's such a natural move as well, because you want to bring the knight into the game.
Maybe we can play here still with queen c2 and like, at least we continue the game, threatening some h4 ideas. Or f4 ideas, yeah. Knight cannot join the game so easily.
Yeah.
Would you sacrifice the pawn and play like knight d4?
I was not sure if I want to take it.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
Okay,
there are
then
moves like h4 or f4 perhaps.
h4 and then queen d1 and...
I don't like this anymore.
Or queen d3. Yeah, queen d3, rook f1. It's just all... Oh, or now we take, since you don't have knight f3 any longer.
I would like a refund.
Ah, yeah.
So h5 is not completely stupid as a move. Not only this idea, has some purpose. So it would have been interesting to see what would happen if it was played, but we don't have a simulation available to analyze what would happen in this case exactly.
Someone suggested we could in fact be in a simulation right now, and it's never been the same since. I think we're almost guaranteed to see f4 here.
Yeah, but probably Tan Zhongyi now realizes that there is king g4. I mean, maybe she already realized it before, but still thought it's the best try she has. But
Yeah, some versions to bring the king out in the center earlier seemed like a better chance to actually find some blunders from the white side before the knight was able to help.
yeah,
I can't
But now
remember
we're
what
just waiting.
the sequence of moves were. So f4, king f3, rook h3. What was the best move for white?
and then king g4.
And king g4. Okay, yeah. Oh right, yes.
Oh wait, just a note. Like here, here. After king g4, we still have technically move like rook g3.
And after num?
Oh no. Anyways, we run around. I kind of thought that now we get some taking on g2 with a check at least.
Hmm. Ooh.
I guess it's still winning. Ah, knight of 3. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
The
knight of 3 is
beautiful
good.
only moves. Love it.
Knight g5. And I'm still hoping that the blunder is possible. I think here still with these 3 pawns.
True. Could we go after mate or try something like fancy?
yeah. Can I pick up the pawn on d7 with a check? That's my question.
Hmm.
Here. Yeah.
But I'm not sure. Queen e5, king h7, queen f5 should work.
Alright, that c5 pawn is
yeah.
running.
And here
And
we
if-
can maybe take h6 with a check and then g5.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, so close. One move, not enough. Okay, and there's no other way to keep the f pawn on the board. No, she played queen e2. I guess she saw it. And just decided to. And is this like hopeless lost? Probably. Yeah. 2 pawns won't be enough on the king side to actually create anything. Okay, but it's all irrelevant right now as we have this position on the board.
After queen e2, it was just a matter of seconds before Ju Wenjun played queen to d4, trying to just shut down any of the threats and also protect the bishop.
On and rook d1, what is the move we have planned? Bishop e3, is it?
I don't see anything else.
So here bishop e3 and on rook e1, probably just knight c4 all of a sudden. The knight is working.
Yeah,
Since if it would go
Oh,
bishop
bishop
f2, then we
h6?
are happy with repetition. Oh. That's lovely.
yeah. That's nice.
Okay, that just ends the game.
Perhaps she can try rook d1, bishop e3, and then king h7, but
What would you give as odds here that white could still make some mistake in this position? Any chance at all?
well, if she doesn't drop to like 30 seconds, then I think it's like 95% chance that Chu is gonna win the game.
1 in 400,000. Rook d1.
But she only has like 3 more moves to go and has more than 10 minutes, so. And now the move is sort of, it's an only move, so
Yeah, maybe even queen d4 was not the strongest move, but that was just the safest move.
yeah.
I don't know if we can lend it to the kind of game that we had today, but Ju Wenjun's time management has been a lot better than the previous games we saw.
Yeah, certainly, but I think it was a lot to do with the very rushed decisions by Tan Zhongyi
Hmm.
that she didn't exactly cause trouble.
Yeah.
Like Jun and Jun could feel safe all the time, and she opted to go, yeah, favoring the time management. She opted to go for the safe options, preserving some small advantage, but not going maybe always for direct tactical lines till some certain point. And yeah, and I don't think that Tan did the best job that she could have done to make the game really, really hard for Jun.
My thoughts, maybe from a psychological standpoint, would be that Tan felt very confident in her preparation up until a certain point where Ju Wenjun started complicating things, and perhaps she got frustrated, and that's what caused her to rush her decision in the opening. And King H7's been played here. Also very safe.
Could just go King H2 back now,
Yeah?
just to forget about everything.
Be like, what are you going to do? King H2, Queen E1.
But it
You
has
just
no
ignore
threat.
it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, then just A5. But of course, you can just do all those things also now. You can just play A5 and should be... Everything should be winning by the idea.
Because my concern was something like Queen E1, Queen H1, Queen E1 check. And maybe the king just has to go this way.
Oh, I don't have Bishop F2 there. That is true. I was somehow the impression that I have a Bishop F2 as a safety. Okay, then probably, yeah, we can run there, but it's not exactly what we want to do.
Can you go Queen F4 though at some point? Like, for example, King H2, Queen E1, and Queen F4? With the idea that now if you give check on H1, King G3, Queen E1, I have Queen F2.
Right, just to remove all of the checks. I do like that.
And F4 doesn't work, yeah?
Bishop F.
Bishop takes, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Bishop can take. We don't have to take with the queen or with the king. We cannot take with the queen, but yeah, that's
Yeah, that F4 move is very, very tricky and annoying to have to analyze with every decision.
we could go also Queen F4 immediately by the idea, but then I guess Queen D3 is still some concern.
Mm-hmm.
And now G5 is actually a threat.
True. But at least now the queen isn't pinned anymore.
So now you have to go King H2 back, or is there anything better? Or
We can,
Knight
of
F.
course,
Ah!
always allow
Sorry.
that.
Yeah, now G. Yeah, now G5. Yeah.
And this should be always winning as well, in theory. I think just how many pawns? That's 3 pawns and naked king, a queen with a knight together.
Yeah, but is it so clear?
Yeah, that's what I said in theory. It should be winning.
Yeah, I like the addition there, like, oh, but in theory, not in reality.
So that's not what we want to do when we have
Yeah.
such a dream position from the white. For white to mess it up, they need to do multiple bad decisions. If just one bad decision is not going to be enough. So one first bad decision could be maybe to sacrifice a piece for a few more pawns and to play with the exchange up in some great position, but which is still you have to win it somehow.
So players are on move 38, leaving them with more than enough time probably to get their 2 moves in before time control. Do you think players will still play on in time control, or will the position be decisive enough by then?
I think they'll play on until there's a mate or the pawn is promoting to queen. Up until then, I think they're gonna keep playing.
Yeah.
And now it's of course very very correct that basically having safely already reached time control, Ju and Jin is spending the remaining time to find the most accurate way to set up pieces, make sure that there are no tactics, nothing to blunder, because if she reaches like position where everything is consolidated, she won't need the time anymore. Even just not speaking about it like now, next two moves, but also like just thinking even further, like in the to win this game. She's gonna get her half an hour, and she can even spend again for a few more moves there 20 minutes. And if she has all the pieces working and 10 minutes on the clock, she's just gonna win the game with ease probably.
Yeah, my impulsivity is trying to make bishop takes h6 work. And I just keep telling myself, don't do that to yourself. And that is just a sure way to lose the advantage in one go.
I'm very happy that you were the one to suggest also some line where we are giving up some piece, because I was tempted by bishop h6 ideas as well.
That is a perk of being a commentator. You can always sacrifice someone else's pieces. Yeah.
And if you accidentally succeed, then you have quite at least a good show.
Precisely. And there's no way to perhaps simplify things even more here. Because no matter if you tried to put the bishop on f4, the queen on f4, g5 will always be a threat. But yeah, king h2 seemed simple enough.
Yeah, I do like it. I do like it a lot, because now after this queen f4, we don't have queen d3 anymore. So f5 is under attack, and we have to act. We don't even have g6 as there's queen h6.
Ooh.
So it just kills any hope for black, I think, immediately.
Hope repellent. Psh. Oh, sorry, that was my fault.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the initial position and just find another safe setup for white here.
Could also maybe think about pushing some pawns, but then you have to again run out with the king, I guess, which... she did go a5, yeah, just...
She did go a5, wow. Okay.
So I guess now with queen e1, you have to run with the king somewhere.
If queen e1... Oh, I see, okay.
You just go king f3 perhaps, and there are no checks.
The rook is disturbing.
Yeah, the king is actually very safe on f3 with the knight and the bishop placed like that.
I honestly wouldn't have seen that at all. The king is really close to the queen and rook, yet no checks. Wow.
Yeah, this is the one thing about the knight, why I was so desperate to get it close to the king throughout the whole middle game. It's just, when it's close to the king, it covers everything. It's just so many squares, important ones. And yeah, we have those pieces now working together, and just king can stand on f3 and there can be no checks.
It's like one of those sayings, knight on f8, they'll never be mate.
Is that an actual saying? It sounds
Yes.
good. I never heard it.
Yep. Universally known. That no matter the position, even if you're down like a bajillion pieces, just put your knight on f8 and checkmate is impossible. It's illegal. Yeah.
That's very good to know.
I'm here to educate. G5 would obviously, okay, lead to queen takes d7. Are there any other complications like h5 here?
After h5, I could even like go h4 perhaps, yeah, to like fully shut down everything.
From one side, from other side, it doesn't threaten anything.
Yeah,
so
it doesn't. Yeah, so I could.
I just leave it then. Okay.
It's very hard to make a move from black here. Just maybe you go rook a1 for the pawn. I don't know, but then knight c4 and no, maybe it's not so bad idea.
If knight c4, I have rook a4, right?
Yeah, then we have rook a4. Did we actually manage to blunder, or there's again still something that theoretically keeps it winning for white?
I
I
think
guess
it's
if
still
you take on d7
winning,
and then on f5.
Or just a6?
But now rook c4, what happens?
Oh, okay. I wanted to go a7. I kind of forgot that you can take my queen first and then do other things.
I mean, I guess you can still take on d7 and then take on f5, and this is probably winning, but it's not really what.
What do you want
Yeah,
to
that
do?
could be it actually. Or maybe c6.
Or bishop d4. In this case, bishop
yes.
d4, I guess, instead of taking, and it will be mate. Or you have to give the exchange like queen d3 check, king h2, take on d4, and then it's a pretty easy win.
But apparently Bar showed that it's equal here?
After bishop d4?
Oh no. Oh no, it just doesn't catch up. I just see it there in the screen jumping, but it's like...
It
cannot
was
catch
very
up with
wild
other
for a
ones.
couple moves, so I understand.
But yeah, so that would be like the mini blunder, at least that you know, there's a hope. So rook a1, just looking to take the pawn.
What about knight f3? Now that I'm not pinned anymore.
Freedom!
Hoping that this could sometimes work, but maybe I just take the pawn. Like, a5 pawn was like the most straightforward way for white to win the game. So if we remove it, like, we are still staying hopeful. In theory.
And now bishop h6?
Okay. That
Aw.
is. We could even take with a pawn, I think.
Then the rook will maybe fall down due to some queen
Yes.
c7.
I was looking for like some check.
Oh, okay, so this is gonna drop. So,
King
take
takes,
with
I
the
think.
king.
That's the only thing I can't see how to progress, because like queen h4, king d6, and it's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can just.
I'm not sure if it's enough.
It's gonna be very, very hard to win any of these kind of endgames when it's only when it's an exchange for some few pawns.
You know what? It isn't a lost position, so I'm gonna count it as a win.
How does that math work?
So usually there's like dog math, regular math, girl math, and then there's chess math. So this is categorized as chess math. Calculation math.
This is very educational today.
Yeah,
Just
is it every day
learn
like
so much.
this, or am I just lucky?
I feel sorry
No, we
for Tom's.
We are certainly learning something new every day. It's
I read it in Dabrowski's book. Honestly, the Dabrowski's Endgame manual I have found to be the most tricky to work through. And I think we spoke about it once before, I'm not entirely sure. Jumping from chapter to chapter being much easier than reading the book from start to finish. Have you managed to work through it at all yourself, Felix?
It was Dvoretsky's Endgame manual, which you said?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, the Endgame book, I think I haven't worked it fully through, but I've worked on many other of Dvoretsky's books, which are probably one of my favorites in general. Like he has these books on prophylaxis and strategy, which I really love.
I didn't actually know about his other books until recently as well, because I saw that he co-authored some books with Artur Yusupov. Because
Yeah, those are the best. Those are
Mm.
really fantastic.
Yeah, they were working together in some academy, I think, long time ago. Hmm. Okay. And what have you found the most useful in terms of book series, if you were to pick one?
It was actually the cooperation between Yusupov and Dvoretsky. So there is this book series in German. It's called Tigersprung. It's kind of like,
Yes.
it means like tiger jump.
Yes.
I'm not sure if there's an English version of this book series as well.
I saw them at the Stauffer Open this year, actually, at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
When Arthur
Mhm.
was there, they were selling them. So that's why I was like, what is Tigersprung? And yeah. Okay, so you read those ones?
Yeah, all of them, and they've helped me immensely. So that was kind of
Amazing.
like the best book series.
Ooh, take note, chat. We got the Grandmaster secrets right here.
So all you gotta do is learn some German, and then you can.
Yeah, and then you can enjoy chess improvement.
Pronouncing
That's
boring
finest.
strangely. Does Lord of the Rings count? If Lord of the Rings can help your chess, then I definitely recommend it. I unfortunately couldn't make it through the movies because I do get distracted very easily. What do you think of Lord of the Rings, Felix and Tom's?
I haven't watched it. I'm fully uneducated when it comes to those things. I have to roll the ball to Tom's.
And the Hobbit?
I would say that for me that is like the best movie series and best story like really that has been made really. And so
Okay. And what's better, The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings?
oh, certainly Lord of the Rings, yeah.
Okay.
Hobbit felt like a little bit like a child's version of the same
Oh.
world, let's say that. Not because of the story, but especially if we are speaking about the movies, like the Hobbit movie just felt like just such a little bit like a child's movie, children movie. Okay, and
It's like comparing the French and Sicilian. Oh. Okay, Anna. I'm gonna get you back. Right, so the Hobbit being the Sicilian and Lord of the Rings the French. Okay, I understand now. We're on the same page. I enjoyed the first Hobbit movie, but I didn't watch the others. I also only watched like 1.5 of the Lord of the Rings movies. Have you read the books?
yeah, some time, but a very long time ago.
And you found that it's increased your ELO by at least 200 points?
Well, something must have increased it, so
Okay.
cannot be chess books since I didn't read any of those.
You haven't read any chess books? Okay, noted. How to Become a Grandmaster. Read Lord of the Rings and also all of the Game of Thrones books.
Okay, it's not true that not like any, but yeah, I mean, I did actually get to around 2500 ELO level by no books, by no chess books at all, just some active kind of training, and only then I started to look into some books.
Okay. I'm doing something wrong, I think, then. And Bishop F2! And players have reached, well, White here has reached time control, and Tan Zhongyi needs to make her 40th move to gain her extra 30 minutes on the clock here.
I think she just decided that she doesn't want to calculate stuff, and she's doing something that we were discussing also in some previous games. Just repeat the position when you can, and enjoy this extra move and think later. We're gonna see Rook D1, Bishop E3, and then she has a half an hour to think with no stress, whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a very, very practical decision if she was not certain, which is the best approach to do, because, like we spoke, that she just needs one setup which she can for sure make work, and then she's winning. So if she didn't find it with those minutes that she had, yeah, no reason to risk, and just use this extra half an hour.
My one prediction is whether this will be the critical moment where she ends up spending majority of that half an hour on the one move. But in this position, she hasn't quickly brought the bishop back, or rather, the rook to d1. Sorry, for Tan. Oh, it has happened. I stand corrected.
And I think this would be also not a bad time, maybe to go still for a quick break before Jewel Engine finds the way how to win the game, actually.
Sounds
Since
good.
move 14 has been reached.
Yes, it is a perfect time as well, and rook e1 is on the board, and I think this is a moment where Ju may be spending the majority of the time she's gained now trying to figure things out. So we're gonna grab some coffee, maybe take a 10-minute nap, who knows, and we'll see you soon. And we are back after the break, and looks like we didn't miss too much, it seems. What are our thoughts on knight to c4 here?
This is what I was expecting and I wanted to play, looking at this position from the white side. So, very, very natural. And now we have the same position after rook a1 that we looked at with knight on c4, just it's white to move. So that seems like a big improvement. We
Yeah.
have the same position just with white to move. And if she wanted to go rook a1, I am kind of confused. Why did she play rook e1 in this position at all? Again, like I understand before time control she asked questions, but now rook a1 just seems very, very natural. Or perhaps the idea is that knight is not on f3 and she's hoping that now, like this way she forced it away, and so some tricks. Did you come up with any tricks in a break, maybe?
Let me check my cup of coffee. No, I don't see anything in here. All I was doing was making my coffee warm again. And do you think the idea was just to try and get the repetition? Because of course it was rook e1 and rook d1 repetitively. So in the hopes of repetition. And then in turn just lost a move at the end. Because now you said rook a1, but now it's white to move.
Yeah, maybe she was hoping that Zhu and Jun is gonna go for some line where the king gets even more adventurous, like to draw it out somehow, and that's why she tried it. Not certain. It seems to be just a great position.
And any ideas, Felix? Sorry.
Yeah, I was just thinking, since we had the same position before, I think it was the same position with black to move. And anyway, there also rook a4 didn't seem to be an actual threat because of queen d7, when there are some mating ideas with bishop d4. So I was just thinking, if you can go king h2 here, with the idea of rook a4, you would even have an improved version, arguably, after queen d7. Rook a4, queen d7, and then if you take on c4, I go bishop d4. And an important point is maybe that after queen c4, bishop d4, you also cannot guard the pawn on g7 with queen g8, because then the rook on a4 would hang as well.
Yeah, that seems to be very clear and effective. Maybe rook a2 now as a move.
Yeah, and then I thought I could go queen d5. When I'm also attacking f5 at the same time.
Chat seems to have the same idea as you, rook a2. And maybe the thought of just trying to get the queen off the attack of the g7 pawn, which is bound to happen anyway. And of course now threatening f5. I do like queen d5 very much.
And if the king runs away, now we could just play bishop d4. Get it back finally on d4.
Ooh.
And now white will probably be the one attacking finally.
Yeah.
It
Seems to
feels
be
like
very nice, king h2.
It feels like for the last few moves, it's like white is trying to prove their advantage just by dodging all the final blows by black, and now has consolidated enough. Is king h2 absolutely mandatory, or is it just sort of a preventative move to get the king out of the way?
Yeah, that's just one of the moves I would say. I think we can also just go knight d6 here, since nothing is attacked. And if we don't want to deal with rook a4 ideas. And with the point being that after this, we could just play bishop f2. And take on f5. At least look to take on f5. That's what she played, 96. But I did like King H2 way more. Of course, it's just a direct way, but it does require precise calculation, and maybe she just doesn't feel like relying on precise calculation. She just wants to win it thanks to superior position. If you remove f5 pawn, also what happens is black's king becomes very, very weak, and we don't have to deal anymore with any f4 checks. That team that has been following us for a long, long time here.
And any tries here? What if queen e1, then just bishop f2?
Yeah, then we also bishop f2, and that's it. Probably nothing better than going back to e6. And now there's a big choice of lines that we can play, but I think king h2 is just the most easy one.
Yeah.
Once again, yeah, just. And if you go for something like this, maybe even queen d3, getting bishop back to d4, taking f5. I'm not sure, but when everything is winning, it's hard to really figure out what is the best move. But that's just one of the plans that comes to my mind. I think she's gonna try rook a2 though, forcing the bishop to f2. There's no other way, I think, to defend.
But bishop. I thought you could also think about taking on f5. Maybe bishop f2. I had some worries. Yeah, and now king f4. I thought you're running out.
But at least this is king in the center. We get rid of the a pawn, and with the
Yeah,
king
absolutely,
in the center, there is
yeah.
a hope.
Absolutely.
If this happens, the game is not gonna be over just yet. They are gonna keep fighting for an extended period of time, and as Anna said in the break, that they are not allowed to play anymore. They have to finish the game already. So it cannot happen. It's just not allowed.
It is illegal.
Yeah, bishop f2, as you pointed out, seems like the more clinical solution.
What were your worries here, Felix, with bishop f2?
That the bishop on f2 seems a bit loose, but there is no way to make use of it for black, as far as I see. Like, if rook d2, there is queen f4, I think.
Yeah. And this is attacked.
And yeah.
Maybe queen e6 is the move here, just to keep practical chances alive.
Yeah.
At least you restrict the knight.
But once you go back with your queen, I'm very, very happy. Because then there will be less threats. Like, I could even think about going after the pawn on f5 immediately. Or as you said before, I think king h2 was the move you suggested, which I liked quite a lot.
Yeah, that and also queen f4 does look.
Yeah, queen f4 seemed quite strong as well.
No checks, attacking f5. We are happy to exchange f5 pawn for the a pawn, I think. And yeah, this is gonna be overdone because here, would you go for an endgame with two pieces against a rook, or would you keep queens on the board? What would be your practical approach to this kind of position?
I would immediately exchange queens. Immediately, without hesitation. Probably knight f5 is even objectively better, but yeah. I would assume that queen f5 is just winning long term more or less easily. So
Depends on the pawns, I feel like, for me. In case the rook does end up sacrificing itself for the remainder of my pawns, it's all about the confidence you have in yourself to deliver a checkmate with a knight and bishop, which we'd spoken about before. And so many signs point to learning this. And if I have to end up using it in one of my games in a couple weeks, I'm going to be very disappointed in myself not being able to execute it. Do you find you can...
Would you go for knight f5, Toms?
I think so, and I think that is maybe some flaw in my game. One of the many. That if I feel like the one of the lines is clearly superior to the other one, despite both being just winning, yeah, I tend to go for the one which should be the most clean win. And especially I think it's a big problem with playing faster time controls, and why I'm struggling in bullet and blitz, because I don't kill the counter game from the opponent, and then the time issues can come in.
So you prefer to attack as opposed to stopping your opponent's plans?
Yeah, I prefer to play just the strongest kind of moves, regardless of how complicated they are. And rather than, for example, queen f5, yeah, it's just you're winning here, but you're gonna have to do way more moves as opposed to knight f5 if it works out and you get bishop d4 and just start attacking everything here. And but there is a chance that you do blunder something somewhere, some complications, and you still have to work on the board. Yeah, but do you think something like this is gonna happen? Just returning to the game position, or some other trick could be found by black?
Hard to say. I guess I would play rook a2 just to at least threaten to take a pawn, but after that not much is happening anymore. Bishop f2 comes.
I like that there's such dominance on the dark squares, especially utilizing the bishop that's able to protect any dark squares that the king is on or the other pieces are on, and even the pawns you could see on the queen side, which is just seems very harmonious.
Yeah.
It's very tough to really suggest any moves, of course, and to speak about the position too much, because we're all feeling, I think, the same thing, just that it's kind of hopeless. And so we're trying to find some entertaining kind of lines, but whatever we suggest, whatever we say, we just know that objectively the position is just hopeless for black.
Now is maybe a good time for me to ask about the trivia, which you, Jesse, announced at the beginning of the stream. So I've been eagerly waiting to get embarrassed for the whole stream.
Honestly, yeah, we got so distracted by discussing different variations that I never got around to asking the second question. And I just have to quickly recall what that was. Right. The question is about Ju and June. At what age did she receive her first invitation to the Women's World Championship match? And the first clue will be the year, and the second clue will be, well, I could probably tell you this. That year particularly was an elimination, so like a knockout. Women's World Chess Championship match.
But by invitation, you mean that she...
Well, not a match, I suppose. It was just a knockout. By invitation, so she got an invitation by placing second at the Asian Women's Chess Championship. So at what age did she receive her invitation? First invitation.
Toms, do you know the answer, or?
No.
Okay, I'm not the only one being clueless. That's at least something.
It's a tough one. You could probably make a
So-
really
That's
good
right.
guess though.
So I'm just trying to think like that. So Ju is, if I'm not mistaken, she must be around 33 or 34. So
1991, yes. 34. I
91,
think.
yeah. So yeah, 33 or 34.
So I would say like 2006.
That she got. So the question was when she got her first invitation to the.
When she first time played in the FIDE World Cup.
in the
Women's
World
Women's World Championship. Women's World Chess Championship, yes. Because how it works, I think, in the women's cycle is that, if I recall correctly, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, on alternate years, it would either be a match or a knockout,
Mhm.
I believe. So there wasn't any Women's World Cup yet.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay,
My
so
guess would be, I would say for sure in the 2010s at some point.
I can't believe it. Tom's was like completely accurate on the nose.
2006. It's actually 2006.
Yes.
That's incredible.
So her age
That's
was.
lucky.
I thought it.
15.
I thought it would be much later, like 2011, 12, 13, something like that.
Yes, I would have thought so too, because I don't believe she was a grandmaster yet, right?
But it was a lot of people, lot of participants in this knockout stage. I think 64,
Yes.
right? And then, so yeah, there was a possibility, very good one, to get there when you're around level of 400.
True. So she was 15 years old. Yeah.
That's a very nice question.
Thank you,
Very
thank you.
tricky one. And we have the position that we actually discussed on the board. And now maybe we'll see Rook A5 and we'll see what does Ju and Jun opt for. But yeah, I would guess that it's Queen takes F5, like you said, instantly.
Mhm.
So while I was browsing Ju and Jun's Wikipedia page, now I'm the one asking the questions.
Okay, I'm
So
ready.
when do you guys think Ju and Jun achieved the Grandmaster title, in which year?
Oh, we spoke about this, I believe.
Yeah.
Do you remember Tom's?
Did we speak about Ju and Jun or Tan?
Oh,
Zhang Yi?
that's a good question. That's so good. I believe, was it she won a championship and got the title, right? Or was that Tan?
That's what we spoke about, but I think that was about Tan, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
My guess
Uh,
is 2017.
And Tom's?
Let me think.
Maybe much
20.
earlier, actually.
Yeah, I would say 20. I don't know, 14, maybe 13.
Tom's is just incredible. You can guess when it was. Of course, 2014, huh?
Wow. Okay.
I just remember around more or less in my mind the graph on her rating progress and around that area, like when she was around 2500. So I was just
Incredible.
in this, somewhere in this place guessing.
I love
Yeah,
being on the receiving end of
2014.
these questions, so if you do have more, go ahead.
I'll look for them.
GG Toms.
Actually, one more move here to at least not allow white to completely end the game is king g6 here.
Mm-hmm.
At least we defend the 5 pawn, there are no checks, and we don't weaken the h6 pawn, so or 7th rank. So this
H4?
could keep game alive for a bit longer. But even if h4 happens, then just this line, if you go
Mhm.
h5, still it's with an extra pawn. Like it's a big improvement
Yeah.
in comparison.
I was trying to find mate, but I can't.
Yeah, this is like a first move that I see for black in this position that actually feels like it's not instantly lost. It's just we keep playing on the same bad position. King g6. And then white. What would white do next? Maybe bishop d4 though. Anyways, since the queen cannot move now, as the f5 is a mate.
I was looking at queen e1, but then just king h2 possibly.
Yeah, and now we don't have a way to defend this one.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, no, so it is completely lost anyways. You can take, and now...
It might be a nice idea just to go back king h2 with the threat of queen g3.
Yeah.
And probably you have to move the king now, and then you can pick up the pawn on f5 once again.
It's a really nice threat.
Oh. Very, very hopeless looking. She is digging in, trying to find some trick, some idea that could theoretically work out somehow. But now when white's pieces are playing, there's just not enough firepower to have any sort of hopes, I think, simply. Yeah, just not even ideas, but just hopes.
Having hope is very important in times like these.
If we have to make predictions, how many more moves the game is gonna go on?
I'm going to say 5.
Yeah,
5.
I would also say something along those lines.
Okay.
What about you?
That's optimistic. I like it. I really hope
Okay.
it's 5 more moves. That's it.
What do you think?
I think it's gonna be still at least 10.
10 moves? I thought you were going to go with less. Fewer.
I think she's not gonna resign, even with the rook against 2 pieces. As long as she doesn't drop still some like extra pawns, like there are some pass pawns or something like that, she's not gonna resign.
I do like the fighting spirit, not just giving up at the first sign of defeat. I'm also admiring this knight that didn't have any prospects on b3 now sitting on d6.
And suddenly life is so good.
Maybe an even better question is, how much time do you think Tan will be left with by the end of the game?
So, if she does play out a hopeless kind of endgame, she probably could do it very quickly and get a lot of time. So, I guess either case, my guess would be 8 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
You?
I think roughly the same. Yeah. Like for sure she'll make a move in the next 3 minutes. I'm going to... Oh! Within, I'm still right. King g6 was played. Yeah, as predicted. And now I really like the idea of playing bishop d4 as you suggested, or even king h2.
Ah, but bishop d4, we still have queen d5 as an idea.
Yeah, then you'll probably have to go to the endgame, queen f3, when at least black has one more pawn, even though I might win it back. Like queen f3, if you take, then I don't know how I'm gonna recapture. Let's say with the king.
We have to take on a5.
Then knight e8 down.
Ooh, we take this.
I am winning back the pawn. I mean, I
Excellent.
guess even without this pawn on g7, it would be winning, but it's always nice to grab a pawn when you can.
Gotta have
Yeah,
some in the
that's
bank.
nice. And then I was thinking maybe if there's any sort of possibility to use the fact that knight has no moves, but probably there isn't any wild fortress-like ideas. That's just very, very wishful thinking. But she played king h2 just immediately.
Hmm.
That's probably even stronger, not even allowing this endgame.
And
Because
setting up these ideas.
Smart. Yeah, bishop d4 is super strong. I had not even thought of queen g3 check. Forcing the king away. Because we'll probably see, as you mentioned, rook takes a5 here. Or something.
Probably.
yeah, and then bishop d4
Yeah.
is perhaps the idea.
We could see queen d5 now as well still
Mm.
in this position.
Like if you're going to change
Yeah.
the move order, I'll change it too. Yeah.
Oh, queen d5 still.
Would you then
But,
just play check first and then bishop d4?
And here I was maybe having some hopes with the g5. I mean, at least I have an illusion of activity.
Illusions are good.
Should be hopelessly lost anyways, but like anything, but I can feel hopeful for a moment at least.
Yeah.
A6. Throw caution to the wind.
And oh, and then we just take, yeah, that's actually very effective. And just here.
Definitely what I saw as a follow-up, yes. I was actually looking at queen e3 to go after, but I like queen d3 more. Yeah.
Oh, but that's also winning, right? Just coming for it, and if queen e6, then this is gonna be just smooth sailing with the passed pawn already. Yeah, so a lot of room for creativity on how to win this from the white side, and very little room from black side to actually have any sort of choice of anything. Well, queen d5. Actually, we could also argue for playing just c4 here. It does take away the nice d4 square for the bishop, but it forces the black queen to back to e6.
Yeah. e6, c6. Oh wait, c6
F5
no.
points.
Yes.
Yeah.
But at least it won't be attacking the g pawn anymore.
Yeah, and then bishop d4 and
Same threat. Oh, that is really, really nice.
Again, perhaps king h7 is the only move that doesn't lose on the spot, and then you can
Pick up f5.
take on f5 however you want, probably.
yeah, then we are gonna eat very well. The f5 pawn is gonna be. But this is very, very now impressive that June and June for starting the match -1, and now 5 games in will be already most likely on +1 in the score, and they will have tomorrow the last round that they play in Shanghai between the 2 rest days, and them traveling for the second stage of the event in Chongqing. I can never remember how you're supposed to pronounce the name of the city.
I'm trusting you with that at the moment. I think you're doing a great job. And do we know that both players are from Shanghai? I think they both studied in Shanghai, but I'm not sure if they're both from there. Like, we were speaking about home turf just a little bit ago.
Yeah, I don't want to say wrong, but I think that the reason still for the match organized like this is because Stan has some sort of connection with John Creek. Sorry, I
Okay.
just keep forgetting the name of the city.
Yeah, according to the internet, she is born there.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
But it seems like they both studied at the same university, and also they studied the same thing. So they both
Yeah.
studied finance and economics at the
I-
Shanghai University.
I think Tan also studied law, right? Or maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I saw on Wikipedia, which is a very reliable source, of course. I saw that they did study both finance, and then I think Tom's also. Did you add there was like a law aspect or something not to do with numbers?
Okay, I didn't see that one, but
Yeah, that was mentioned in an article that I read on the players' profiles before they went, and that in some interview she was mentioning that there was law because of no mathematics.
And the only thing you
But
have to
I-
count is criminals.
But I didn't fact check it, so well, just an article.
Felix is fact checking at the moment.
yes, but I cannot find any sources stating that she also studied law. It only says that she graduated in finance and economics.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe I misread. There's a very good chance of that. My eyes do deceive me more often than not. Yeah. I would love a phonetic spelling in chat if anybody has one of the city and we can all practice it so we can be perfect at it when they do move there with the match. But Queen f6 helps the plan a little bit more with Bishop d4, Queen g3. Or what is Black's idea? Is it to play after Bishop d4, Queen g5?
Yeah,
Okay.
that must be the idea, but I mean, even then you could take and then grab the pawn on g7 once again, I believe. But
Just-
yeah, you could also consider h4 here, I guess, to take away the g5 square for the queen.
Mm-hmm.
After queen f6 to go h4, but
Or even be cheeky and try to save the a5 pawn.
how would you
Knight-
think of doing that?
I was looking at knight b7, but maybe.
But we could do like knight c4 and on the rook here we could go knight b6 and have this kind of exchange.
Then you can create a new pass pawn. I like that.
Just a little bit adding to that topic on the education.
Mm.
I think that the confusion comes from the fact that she studied in the University of Finance and Economics, but the degree that she got is the law,
Oh.
School of Law, like kind of sub branch in this university.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, she clearly really likes reading, because I did a year in law and the amount of reading that was assigned to us was just astronomical. I don't think I saw the light of day for an entire year.
I've always found it very impressive that actually many of the Chinese professionals also graduate from university. Like I've also heard about Wei Yi, for example, who is like number 10 in the world or something, who also took the time of his day to just finish a degree just on the side, basically, which is incredibly impressive to play on the highest level and also to pursue an academic.
I love stories like that. Chess players
Okay.
completing side quests.
Yeah.
What do you think is holding her back right now?
Just making sure, I guess. not giving any chances.
Yeah.
Maybe she's worried here, for example, on some lines like this, just f4 coming, and then f3. How serious it is of a threat, and if you run away, that's some perpetual check maybe. In some very, very hopeful scenario, I don't know. None of it seems particularly scary, but maybe you just don't want to give any chance to your opponent.
Right.
Someone in the chat pointed out the correct way to pronounce the Chinese city where the match is moving, Chongqing.
Chongqing. Ooh.
Yeah, at least that's how I understood it now.
I feel fluent in Mandarin.
I'm gonna try to remember that.
Chongqing. Just put a T in front of the S.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
a little zing. Yeah. I feel like it's the same in some languages where it's written in such a way. For instance, in Polish, I've seen so many words written in a way that are not pronounced like any of the words or letters are written. Like, it'll be A, B, C, D, and it's pronounced like, I can't even make an example. Have you struggled with that, Toms?
Yeah, in a way, but the thing is that there are those letter pairs. Like we also have that in Latvian language in some cases, that when it's like two separate letters, but when you put them together, it's kind of creates some sort of a sound.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit like in English, like CH together.
Yeah.
You don't pronounce it like just letter by letter, but you pronounce it like chess, right? And the same goes like also for like languages like Polish, for example, that you just have to know those pairs and how to pronounce them, and then it.
Okay, so in
kind of
Polish, XYZ is ch.
But it makes sense in logical perspective, but then again, when you try to say it, then that's a different kind of situation already.
In practice, yes. There's chess and chemistry, which is easier to understand because there aren't any accents on our letters, like little hats or anti-hats, because you have those like upside down vases too. You have letters on top of letters, like the weird German S.
I think Anna's point was that, like in English, like chess and chemistry, is that you have the same letter pair and you pronounce it in two different ways, and you just have to know.
Knight c4? Question mark. Trying to keep this a5 pawn alive. The resuscitation has begun, and probably the idea of playing queen d6 maybe to pin the queen and force an exchange. But also this bishop on f2 is vibing. Yes. I like that idea more as well.
Well, everything is just so sad when you're here playing with black pieces.
When you put it like that.
Maybe you just play here rook a4 and then pretend like after knight e5 that, oh, what a blunder. Just shake your head and resign.
Oh. What did I miss?
Just an easy way out. King h7.
I should not look at chat. I miss a lot.
Okay, so I would expect now bishop d4 to happen, and after any black move, just knight coming to e3.
It happened.
Oh, wait, bishop d4, yeah. So queen g6, knight e3, and that should be it.
Yeah.
I would assume that word is pronounced lo baro, but apparently it's luga baruga. Is that another name for a kangaroo?
What is that?
How exactly did we move from Polish pronunciation to kangaroos?
They're a very cute animal and
No argue about that.
have nothing to do with the Polish language. You are right.
Lowborough, yeah, now I see it as well.
Yeah, you would sort of think it's either Loughborough or Loughborough.
But it's Luga Baruga, yeah?
Sounds like a spell in Harry Potter.
It sounds like a lot of things, but not an actual word.
Yeah. Oh, the phonetic one was wrong. Okay. Shouldn't knights be called kangaroos? I do agree with that, because they jump. And sometimes the knights do
And they
look
kinda-
like kangaroos. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be very accurate because, well, I mean, I never considered something like this, but you know, the horses actually are able to walk, and the kangaroos they're unable to not jump. So, so
True.
that would be making
Unless
much more
they're
sense.
doing some equestrian, you're not going to find a horse just jumping in the wild, because that's not how it moves. Very, very good comparison. What would you associate the kangaroo pouch with when it comes to the knight?
Mm. Yeah, I don't have anything for this one just yet.
Felix is like, I'm never coming back here again.
No, I'm just enjoying the conversation. Just silently enjoying. And I'm also looking at the video broadcast of the players, and
Oh, lovely.
Tanjung Yi is visibly not very happy, but now she's making a move. Queen
Okay.
E6 as it seems.
Minute 6,
Yeah.
93. I expect to be just there. Then I think we'll see G6 somewhere. Oh no, G6 could. Is that mate? Is that just a checkmate with Queen
Oh,
H8?
wow. Very beautiful one too. And you can't stop it.
So
You'd have to play like G5 or something.
here, yeah, G5. Yeah, this is actually here. I mean, no, maybe knight. Oh no, that's a blunder. Oopsie, this is bint. I want a G4 to work.
Oh.
Yeah, so maybe you don't need to go for that. Okay, I'm gonna step aside for just probably 30 seconds or so.
Sure. Question, Felix. So you said you were looking at the video broadcast. How are the
Mhm.
players like posture? Are they shaking at all? Because I imagine they're not in time trouble, so they wouldn't be visibly nervous at the board or anything. But how
Yeah,
are
not
things looking?
really. If you could call someone nervous, I would even say that it's more Joven John, but she's not nervous at all. It's just that she's really making sure that nothing bad happens anymore, and that she just gets a full point.
Double, triple
Okay.
checking.
I am back.
Welcome back.
What did I miss?
We were just talking about Felix's watching the broadcast, so I asked about their posture and whether either player looks nervous at the board. And yeah, Drew's busy thinking at the moment and probably just trying to make sure everything is okay before executing the final blow.
Yeah.
It's a big mental exercise in completely winning positions, not to relax, but actually to make yourself think. When you just know that it's winning, and when you see that everything is winning, but actually not to make moves instantly. It's, I find that to be like one of the hardest things. I don't know how it is for both of you.
Mm-hmm. One of the hardest positions to win is a one position. You know, you have to prove your advantage and conversion. You can be as winning as +8 and still somehow mess up. So I think accuracy through and through. There's not one point in the game unless you're absolutely sure you're winning and there's no chances for your opponent that you can sit back and relax. What do you think, Felix?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I completely agree with this statement that the hardest games to win are the ones that are already winning. So I'm always struggling with winning those positions. If there was like a magic pill for being able to win those positions, I would immediately take it. And really require that medication.
Well, we need like in the movie, I think it was Click or something like this. We need a kind of remote control when the position is already winning. Then we just have to fast forward, just in order that.
Yeah, that would be great.
I was literally thinking about that. Yeah, because Adam Sandler, it's a crazy, crazy movie, really good as well. And I was also thinking about like Queen's Gambit and the pull in that series, as well as this meme that says if you could take a red or blue pull, with the blue pull being you can see into the future, as far into the future as you want. And then of course you come back to reality, but then you'll know what lays ahead. Or would you take the red pull, where you go back to say being 4 or 5 years old, but having all the knowledge you have today?
That is a very deep question. So many layers to it.
Yep.
The easy answer, I guess, is seeing in the future. Yet being a depends actually. Can I ask a clarifying question on this one?
Sure.
When we are seeing in the future, what's that? Is it a one-time thing, and from this moment we see everything in the future, but the moment we change the future tree, it's already not accurate anymore? Or
That's very true. Okay, now you've complicated things. This is supposed to be a fun question. No. We can probably tailor it to what is easier. Maybe at any moment you could... So it's not just a one-time thing, that at any moment you can jump in like a day into the future or something like that. Or you can only go once into the future, as far forward as you want. But then, of course, you'd have to watch out for like the reality tree, as you mentioned. Because then you'll be able to see things like lottery numbers or natural disasters or things like that.
yeah, since that why my question was that if you have it like a one-time thing, then going backwards would be the easier answer, like the safer one, simply because of the fact that in both scenarios, at certain point, you're about to already be with no information whatsoever. And so just, going backwards, you already have a reference of rather big time span, and you know that it's for sure going to be playing out like this and so on. And if you are like, in another scenario, you can basically get one favorable event, and then the future just changes like accordingly.
I can just remember, I can just like think of like 5-year-old Toms calling up Anna and be like, please wait for me. Oh, that's so sweet. Queen g6 and queen f3 to stop the mate. Was queen g3 better, do you think?
It looks like she wants to play with the queens on the board. And that's why she chose not to play queen g3.
Question in chat, f4.
Well, I think actually f4, especially in queen g3, would be a move. Very, very relevant.
But if f4, you could just play a6 maybe? Oh, I see.
And now we have an extra idea of f3.
Right.
After exchanging of the queens.
So...
obviously, yeah, that's all gonna be anyways. It's like winning, we just go king g1. If you give checks, you can just come here. But you have to do some more work.
I was even thinking about knight c4, defending a5, but also threatening knight e5 check in case of f3.
Oh, yeah, that's more effective. Although then the king activates, you know, we have the king in the very, very center of the board.
Yeah.
And I can totally see missing something here from the black side, even when those pawns start running.
Right. Knight e5 here, maybe? Because then you're still stopping f3, but also threatening d7. And that way, if you want to get rid of the threat of f3, you can push a6 here.
Yeah, we could do that, but maybe g5.
No! I take it back.
And f4 is on the board.
Yeah, now in comparison to queen g3 line, we have a free move. There's no threat. I assume the knight is gonna get regrouped since it finished its job. It provoked the f pawn to move, and now it's gonna regroup to look for the next kind of mischief.
Could also think about pushing a6. Is that also an option? Just if you take, then I'm gonna take on f4 and just wanna kick out your rook from the second rank.
That's on the board.
Yeah, she played it.
Maybe after takes, and if rook a2, just come back or play queen here.
Yeah. Again, stylistic choice. If you want to keep queens on the board, I guess it's totally fine. If you want to exchange them, should also be quite easily winning.
Now, something better than to take on a6 is very, very tough to imagine.
Yeah.
Black has no threats. We cannot get any g5 working. We didn't manage to remove the queens. All the other pawns are pretty useless that we have.
Well, Tan could be like some of my online opponents and just offer a draw in a position like this.
That
We don't
hopefully
know that
won't
she
happen
hasn't.
in a World Championship match.
Very true. That would be very disrespectful.
But maybe that's what you need to turn the match around. At some point. Do you ever implement any dirty tricks in your own games?
Over the board?
Yes.
Mm,
Like the kind of things that are legal, but that you know
that
that are
feel illegal.
Yeah.
Yes. So I've realized some things. I'm obviously not like a psychology expert, and even less so when it comes to the psychology of chess. But what I've often found, that when your opponent is deep in thought, but also really low on time, is try not to make any sudden movements, because that will give them the impression that time is moving quite slowly, and the moment you move, it like wakes them up almost. So I try to stay very still, and whether I'm looking at the board, try not to look at the clock, because your opponent will follow your eyes even when they're looking at the board, so peripherally, to not distract them from looking at the clock and thinking, I'm low on time, and then boom, they lose on time. This is at least at a club level. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
No, but that is, I actually think that it's very much the case in this way. And for me, it's often happening that I am somewhere walking around. And what I do is that when I see that somebody is deep in thought, like for a long time thinking, even though I am tired or they're walking, I would never sit down. And like if I feel that opponent is already thinking way too long.
Yeah.
As it is often the case that the moment you sit down in these kind of moments, it's like the person snaps out of it and just makes a move. And
Yes.
yeah, I will just keep walking and walking and walking just somewhere away, also out of the sight of the opponent, usually somewhere in the behind the view. Just that, yeah, there will be illusion that, yeah, he just keep thinking and thinking and nothing's happening.
That's an interesting approach. I usually do it the other way around. So if they're deep in thought and they still have enough time on the clock, I'll sit down intentionally, waking them up, forcing them to move when they're not even ready to make a committal move. And often that move would then be either inaccurate. Well, I don't know. Felix, what are your thoughts?
I'm amazed by all of your thoughts in this psychology. Like I've never even thought so much about it. I try just to focus on my own moves.
That's probably
kind
the
of-
right, the correct, straightforward
Like-
response.
I have
Yeah.
to say only one thing. The only dirty thing I mean, I don't. You guys can judge me if it's dirty or not. But what I did once when I was younger was that I kind of set up a trap when I made a move, and then I intentionally like shook my head and to kind of that the opponent thinks that I actually blundered, and it
Yeah.
did in fact work. So that's the
There's
worst I
a
can
there's a
do.
name. There's a name for that style. It's called the Eric Rosen way. Hmm.
Really for that one.
No, but he's very much like his mantra is, "Oh no, my queen! Oh no, my bishop!"
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
actually,
it's a
when
cool
asking
trap.
about dirty tricks, I just thought along the lines like, like for example, like also there was a question in chat, like what are some examples of this? For example, somebody like you're not allowed to eat by the board, right? But technically, you're allowed to like open your chocolate with this all the
No.
noisy paper, or just open your pack of cookies by the board, or so these kind of things are allowed. It's not like the food is not allowed by the board. Even though you can't eat it, you can start to like take it out and prepare for eating it away from the board, or just. I guess most of the people don't do it intentionally, but there's also the very very big leg shaking, and that that you're shaking in a way that the whole table is actually vibrating, and
Yeah.
and these kind of things.
What is the dirtiest trick that was used against you? I definitely have an answer to this. Will you guys go first?
I don't know, from the top of my head, it's very very hard to say. Yeah, it's very very hard to say what could be there. There have been unpleasant stuff, but I don't
Mhm.
think it's been intended as dirty tricks, but more, rather than the people who did them simply were inconsiderate about other people. Let's say that it was just they were not really caring.
That's true.
Um,
Yeah, my experience was I was playing a tournament in Portugal, and one of my opponents, and this was actually someone who like disturbed the entire playing hall with their tactics. So it wasn't just the opponent; it was the people sitting next to them, people sitting across from them. So it was quite something, and the arbiter did nothing about it. Was that every time it was the opponent's move, they would cough or clear their throat, like the entire time, like like it doesn't even look like they're sick, or it doesn't even look like they need to cough or clear their throat, but it just like goes on and on and on, and it's just something else. This is when you need
Yeah.
your noise cancelling devices.
Oh, this also reminded me of very similar kind of case that I've had some opponents who sometimes are like kind of sitting by the board, supposedly heavy in the calculation, and then they are doing by the board like such a big blowing all in your face, and
Yes.
it's not always the most pleasant of the sense.
Not really, especially if they're a smoker. I've realized.
And it's like constantly throughout the entire game, and Yeah, and it's really hard to catch or say anything about it, but it's
Mm.
just super, super unpleasant. Uh, is the game coming to the conclusion? Knight f5. Well, that's
Mm.
very close.
Yeah, now is the time approaches where you could really think about throwing in the towel.
Since the knight has probably served its purpose on f5, would you find that it would now retreat to a different square or go back to d6?
Yeah, back to d6. I would love it to be on e4, yeah, to get into f6. So also knight g3 would be an option to get either knight h5 or knight e4.
Mm-hmm.
But,
I love that the queen doesn't have any checking squares. They're just completely covered.
yeah, white's pieces have amazing coordination.
Mm-hmm.
I can do anything. Probably knight g3 is just gonna come as an easy move, and I would expect it. I was trying to make knight h6 work, just for the fun of it, but I guess it doesn't exactly win by force. We just have a regular winning position. Since the point being that you cannot take with a queen, as queen f7 is mate, and if you take, then we are forcing the king on a walk here to f5, I think.
Yeah, I did not
And
even
then
consider that. Amazing.
Queen h7 and maybe trying to get on d7, but yeah, doesn't work.
She did go for knight g3. Or?
Knight e3, I guess.
Knight e3, okay. Saw it wrong in the broadcast. But again, similar idea, knight g4 could come as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or queen f8, there are just too many threats.
Keeping things simple, solid, and satisfying. It's nice to hear about the stories in chat as well. If you have any instances of bad experiences over the board, please do share it with us. We'd love to know that we're not alone in this world. Yeah. Ooh, as part of preparation, you could look up your opponent's favorite food and bring it to the board. I like that.
That is very good one. I like that as well. I just
Mhm.
noticed it, and that is
What-
some extensive preparation for the game.
We should do a video series on what feels illegal at the chessboard but isn't. And we'll just go ahead with. But that would give too many people ideas, I think.
Yeah, because again, the same, like you cannot eat this food, but if you bring some very nicely cooked dish, it can be rather smelly, and especially the game is long, you know, you're hungry, and
Yeah.
then you feel the scent of something nicely cooked. Yeah, I see
Yeah,
that being
good
very
or
effective.
bad. So maybe you could bring some boiled eggs to the table. Yeah. Or some cabbage. Or Brussels sprouts.
I once heard a story about a player who apparently brought some carrots to the game. He was just eating carrots like on the board even. So like the whole playing area basically heard him crunching on carrots.
Wow.
That's probably the worst the worst food you can eat during a game. Or the best, depends on what your motivation is.
Right. And you can't eat carrots without sharing. That just sounds like bad etiquette.
Yeah, but about food eaten by the board, like before it was illegal to eat by the board, there were so many crazy cases of just loud food being eaten. But I guess carrot must be somewhere on the top of the list, since you cannot eat it quickly, as compared to some crunchy cookie or something like this. At least that's gone rather fast.
That's true. I really hope that the carrots also had like the green stuff on the end, to make it even more animated. And have some...
Bugs Bunny style, yeah.
Exactly, that's exactly what I was thinking. Yep. C6. We have another passed pawn on the board.
Okay, now it's time to resign.
There are some guesses in the Lichess chat of mate in 16, mate in 15, mate in 17.
Now 95.
I'm
Or
really sad
94.
about our prediction, by the way, Felix. We said about 5 moves.
Yeah, of course, but whenever Tom's gives a prediction, there is no chance that we are right and he's wrong. So
Was it
Very
9 moves
true.
ago? I thought about 10 moves. I think it was like King H7.
No! Speaking the things into existence. We need to stop doing that. So rook a8 to try and stop the pawn. I guess here maybe just trying to trade queens would be a good way forward. Or what do you think? Should you play c7?
Yeah, I felt like 95 is just... You're going for
It's
the
also-
checkmate.
the move she played and 95 is on the board.
Maybe rook c8, c7, and that's it. Game over. Resign. So there will be no moves.
Yeah, she played rook c8.
Rook c8.
Oh, or maybe she's gonna go for knight f6 just.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are so many discoveries there, and it's hard to believe that nothing is winning.
Wow. Yeah, I was even
Yeah,
looking
knight
at
f6.
queen to d3, which is king g8, and it's
Where
not
can
fun.
you even like, hope to go?
Hmm.
Since on something like king h8, maybe I start with queen d3,
Hmm.
and now, yeah, it's tough to defend h7 mate.
There was also a nice forcing win, I think, if you start with queen d3 instead of knight f6. Just a nice motive. Queen d3, king g8, knight e7, I thought is also winning. King g8, knight e7, and if queen takes, queen g6.
I couldn't see what happens after king f8.
Queen f5 with double attack. That was the idea.
Oh,
That is
nice.
We can show that on the board, and now just taking
So
it.
it was
Nicely
just a nice
spotted.
idea.
I love that. That's great.
But that's on
Um,
the board, king g8.
Oh, it is nice. Yeah, I mean, I don't love it for tan, but I do for Jew.
But I think she's not gonna calculate if she's gonna go knight f6, queen h7.
Yeah,
Mhm.
also possible.
It's just the human way.
It is
No, 97. Wow.
the
Spectacular
finishing
finish.
blow. We should give that one. Oh, sorry, it's a bit scuffed for a moment. Legally,
It's because it just ends the game and ends the round, so we have to give it to exclamation marks.
it deserves it right there.
Anything
Ooh.
that
Hmm.
gives us a chance to get some lunch is like two exclamation marks.
He's got food on his brain. I can see that Lichess has also added an N for novelty. I haven't seen that one before. And we have a resignation.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. That was really, really hard fought. Final remarks, guys.
Yeah, I was surprised by today's opening performance by Tan. This rushing and so on, and I do hope that for tomorrow's game, she does manage to regroup and change something in the approach. Because otherwise, how the last 3 games have been going, it seems to be very, very tough for her to actually stay in the match. And it's like the same thing that was in the beginning, that I was mentioning, that match very favors the more stable player. And if you start to like a little bit be shaky in your performance, then it can go downhill very far before you again are stable. So yeah, I do hope just for the intrigue in the match that tomorrow we're gonna see Tan playing a masterpiece and equalizing the score.
Hmm. I believe so too. Felix?
Yeah, I don't have much to add. I think that Zhu and Jun actually played a very nice game. Today it didn't go so well for Tan Zhongyi. I mean, the opening somehow just At some point, things just went into the wrong direction, and then, yeah, just was kind of too late. The position was already not so great. But Juvenjun showed also very nice technique in the end. So I really liked that part as well. Yeah, also really excited to see how the match is heading now. I still think it's possible we're gonna see a couple of upsets.
Indeed, now the score is imbalanced, and going into the next round tomorrow, before the players take a 2-day break and also shift to a different city, this is going to only mean more exciting games for us. I do want to say a special thank you to Felix for joining us today. I hope that we didn't cause too many problems for you, and that the trivia was entertaining enough.
No, you guys are great. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And thank you, Toms. We will see you guys tomorrow for game number 6. Have a great one, everyone. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Felix. And thanks everybody for watching. And bye.
Thank you guys.